Tales of Barbuzaar, the Skull King. A long time ago, there was a beautiful but selfish princess named Omarosa, whose arrogance troubled the king and queen. In a distant land, King Malik, who had been cursed by a witch and turned into a skull, heard of Princess Omarosa's beauty and wished to marry her. Though reluctant, King Malik was encouraged by his mother to pursue the princess.
Why can't I stop thinking of this vain princess?
If you cannot stop thinking of her, then you must go and find her.
But I am just an ugly skull.
To me, you are the most handsome of all men. Listen to me, my son. Take the magic shell that was given to you by the witch who cursed us. We can make up to 5 wishes. Use it to regain your human form, then go and meet the princess.
Each spell lasts for only 72 hours, after which I will be turned back into a skull. What will happen then?
Until you decide to take a chance on life, you will never know where it will lead you.
So, the Skull King brought out the giant shell.
Magic shell, return me to my true form.
Within seconds, the Skull King regained his original form.
Wind of the magic shell, bring me to Princess Omarosa.
Within a second, a quiet breeze came by and carried him away. By this time, Omarosa's father, the king, had extended invitations to all the eligible bachelors of the kingdom for a ball. As usual, Princess Omarosa turned down every proposal until she eventually caught sight of the most attractive young man she had ever seen. They quickly fell in love. Fearful that the princess might change her mind, the queen and the king made sure they were married within 2 days. Knowing his spell was about to end, King Malik quickly hastened their departure.
Thank you so much, my king and queen, for the warm welcome and for entrusting me with your daughter.
I shall miss you all so much.
My daughter, you can go now. You have our blessing.
And so they left. Once they were far enough, the Skull King took the magic shell out of his pocket and rubbed it gently.
Wind of the giant shell, bring us back to my kingdom.
Within an instant, a cold breeze came by and carried them away. During their journey, the spell wore off and King Malik returned to his skull form. Terrified, Princess Omarosa fainted. Upon waking up, Princess Omarosa grew bitter and resented everybody, including King Malik's mother, who at several attempts tried to befriend her. Meanwhile, King Malik, ashamed of his own appearance, refused to set a foot out of his chamber. As time passed, Omarosa fell ill, and for the first time in her life, she began to reflect upon her actions, realizing she was the only one responsible for her present situation. With a renewed mind, Princess Omarosa decided to seek forgiveness from King Malik's mother, and from this day, the two became inseparable.
You know, my daughter, my son is not a bad person. An angry witch cursed him and made him look the way he is. He used to be so sweet and loving, but ever since he was transformed into a skull, he locks himself up all day long and has become very bitter with the world.
Why was he cursed?
It was all my fault. Long ago, when our kingdom was still beautiful and full of joy, I mistreated one of our female servants so badly that she fled. I had no idea her mother was a witch. To punish me, the witch cast a spell that was meant to kill me. But when the prince found out, he pleaded with her to spare my life and offered to take my place. Instead, she made me cripple, and on that same day, my handsome son was turned into a skull. Our once beautiful kingdom was cursed and cut off from the rest of the world.
Can no one break the curse?
The curse can only be broken through true redemption. However, the prince has grown so bitter towards the world that it seems all hope is lost.
There is always a reason to be hopeful.
If you truly mean what you said, my daughter, please forgive my son. I understand you have every reason to hate him, but for my sake, I plead, forgive him.
I have already forgiven him, mother.
Early the next morning, Princess Omarosa prepared a heavy breakfast and brought it to the king. Unfortunately, he coldly dismissed her. Despite this, she returned the next day and the day after that. Yet nothing changed. Eventually, the princess lost hope and stopped knocking on his door. Then one day, while she was walking in the flower garden, the king showed up.
Haven't heard you knock at my door lately.
Maybe I have simply given up on trying, my king.
Can I have another chance, my queen?
Well, let me think about it.
And so, Princess Omarosa invited the Skull King to dinner that evening. This time, he accepted, and all three enjoyed a wonderful meal together. In the days that followed, things became more pleasant and the two grew closer to each other. However, Princess Omarosa began to miss her parents, and she asked the king if she could visit them.
I shall be back within a week, I promise.
I trust you, my queen. Take the magic shell. I only have 2 wishes left. One wish will take you to your parents and the second will bring you back.
Princess Omarosa then rubbed and blew into the giant shell.
Wind of the magic shell, bring me to my parents.
Immediately, a calm breeze carried her away and soon set her down at the palace gate. Picking up the snail shell that had fallen to the ground, Princess Omarosa ran inside to meet her parents. As soon as she saw them, she fell into their arms and recounted everything that had happened to her. Filled with sympathy for their daughter, they urged her not to return, but Princess Omarosa insisted that she wished to return to her husband. Fearing for his daughter's life, the king seized the magic shell from the princess, tossed it to the ground, and smashed it into pieces.
What have you done, father? What have you done?
I have done what every father would have done. Now go to your room and have some rest.
Completely heartbroken, Princess Omarosa picked up the now broken shell pieces off the floor. For weeks she wept endlessly, not knowing what to do. A full month passed, and the Skull King finally gave up upon her return.
I cannot blame her for staying with her parents. After all, who would want a husband with a hideous skull?
One day, Princess Omarosa had an idea.
Maybe if I glue the shell's pieces all together, the magic might still work.
So, she did just that. Standing before her window, Princess Omarosa rubbed and blew into the shell. Suddenly, a violent tornado came forth, with thunder, lightning, and rain.
I guess the violent tornado is as a result of the broken shell. This is my only chance of returning to King Malik.
And so, she leaped onto the fierce tornado, which rapidly carried her back to the Skull King's castle. The moment she saw the castle, tears of joy rolled down her cheeks. Princess Omarosa called out the king's name repeatedly until everyone came out. And just then, the tornado violently stopped and Princess Omarosa fell off right into King Malik's arms.
You came back.
Yes, I did. I promised you I would come back.
I think I have fallen in love with you, my queen.
And I believe I am not indifferent to your charm, my king.
At this very moment, the Skull King transformed into the very handsome king he once used to be. King Malik's mother wept tears of joy, and for the first time in years, she got up and walked. The curse was forever broken.
What love cannot conquer does not exist.
On this day, the kingdom regained its previous glory, and all lived happily ever after. The end.